Hello YouTube. I have another Disney ranking for y'all. This time I'm going to be talking about the third Disney era in their history, which is the Silver Era. This was after World War II and happened between 1950 and 1967. After World War II, Walden's animators financially recovered and finally made feature-length films again. A lot of these films were successful and made the company go back in popularity. A lot of people like these films, and they became beloved classics. And today, I'm going to rank them all, from my least favorite to my most favorite. And this ranking is going to be interesting, because I really like these movies, and it'll be hard to rank them. So, let's do that. Number 8, The Sword and the Stone. So I really don't like this movie. It is up there with Make My Music and how bad it is. So, this movie has a lot of scenes that are very boring and just go on forever. Like, for example, there are these scenes where the wizard Merlin turns the boy Arthur into an animal to teach him a lesson, but they go on forever and they don't really serve a purpose to the story. Like, I watched Water Painted was bad. Oh boy, I didn't see anything until I watched this one. The characters are not really that likable. I mean, most are just generic, like one-note characters, like you would find anywhere else. Like a big example that comes to mind for me is the villain Madame Mim. She is not memorable. She is just an evil old hag, which is as generic as you can get in the pantheon of Disney villains. The animation's not that good. It feels like 101 Dalmatians, which I'll get into on this list, but like they wanted to get that style, but they didn't know how to do it. If you catch on. And the biggest flaw of this movie is that like in the last 20 minutes they just put so much in. I mean, they have this story about a villain, Arthur going to London, him pulling a sword from the stone, like all in the last 20 minutes. And most of the movie is just funny animal antics. Like, it's really bad. Like, I know there's like a cult following for this movie, but that is the weirdest cult following for any Disney movie ever. Like, I know you watch it for nostalgia, but I wouldn't recommend it to anyone who's coming in. So yeah, I don't think this movie would be worthy enough to pull its title Sword from the Stone. Number 7, Lady and the Tramp. So to me, this movie is the definition of an alright movie. So first off, I'll start with the positives. I really like the dog world that this movie builds. Like, I like the things, like, from a dog's perspective. Like, Lady calling her owners Jim, Dear, and Darling, because that's the only names she knows them by. And the pound being dreaded. I find that very interesting. And I like the dogs in the community in this movie. And also, I think the animation in this movie is stellar. Like, it only gets beat out by, like, a movie coming up on this list. And also, I find the characters really enjoyable as well. I like Lady, I like Tramp, I like Jock, I like Tony. It's just a very good cast of characters, but liking these characters leads to a big flaw of this movie for me. So there's this scene where, like, it makes out, like, a dog character to be, like, dead, like one of the main characters. And, like, you really believe it and get sucked up in the emotion. And then the next scene, he is only his leg is broken and he's just fine. Like, what? Like, I saw you die, man. Like, why are you back? I saw you die. So yeah. And also there are these scenes that, like, a lot of these old Disney movies have scenes that kind of drag on. Like, I remember there's this scene at the zoo, like, and it only serves one real purpose in the movie, just, like, a very small one as well. Like, but it goes on for 10 minutes, like, what? Like, what? So yeah, Lady and the Tramp is an alright romance movie. I think it has some really good positives that I really enjoy, but some really bad negatives that I don't enjoy. And that is why it is here on the list. Lady and the Tramp is a good romantic movie, but you can find better. Number 6, Cinderella. So I really like this movie, but I do not at all think it's the best of Disney. So first off, the story of this movie is very iconic, with the glass slipper and the princess wanting to go to the ball. And I still think it holds up to this day. It has a very dreamlike fairy tale feel about it. And I think the soundtrack's pretty good in this movie, with it probably being my favorite soundtrack from this era. Yeah, I just said that. What are you gonna do about it? And also, another unpopular opinion, I think Cinderella is a much better female protagonist and princess than Snow White. Because she actually has a real personality, Cinderella. But as Snow White has too much of personality, in my opinion. And I also really like the villain of this movie. She has like very little power, but you very feel her presence in it. So yeah, Cinderella, good movie. But the main thing holding it back is the scenes of the mice and the cat in the household. Like they feel like, so there's like two parts of the movie, like a fairy tale and a Tom and Jerry ripoff. Although it's a good Tom and Jerry ripoff, it doesn't go well with the rest of the movie. Like it feels like two different movies competing against one another. And they don't mesh well. So yeah, Cinderella is a good movie, a good fairy tale, pretty solid. But like I feel like there's like two different movies going on here that just don't mesh well. But both are good. It's just nothing that I would call masterpiece Cinderella. Number 5, The Jungle Book. So I really like this movie, but not as much as other people do. So first off, this movie has a really upbeat tone that I really like. It makes it really fun to watch. The second thing that's great about this movie, I think the characters are really good, with Blue and Bagheera being my favorites. Also, the villains are really good. I mean, Kaa's a lot of fun, and Shere Khan is like Scar, but Scar before Scar. You get what I mean? So yeah, The Jungle Book. I have some good parts about it, but then there are some flaws about it. So this is the definition of a Disney movie with filler. I mean, there are scenes like with these like elephants and like their patrol, and they just go on forever. They don't add much to the story. They're time wasters. And the second thing that I don't like about this movie is there are some vultures that look and act like the Beatles, but I don't think they are gonna age well in the pop culture world since I'd look up that they were Beatles, so yeah. So The Jungle Book. Fun movie, but like nothing great. Oh, I still like it, of course, but I just like it. I know some people like put it in like high regard, but I just like it. Number 4, 101 Dalmatians. So this movie is a really fun watch for me. I think it's a really fun story, it has a really fun villain, and really fun characters. So the main villain of this movie, Cruella de Vil, is obviously one of the best Disney villains ever made. I mean, great personality, great voice acting, great animation on her. Like that, it is just the definition of a great villain. No, so like Lady and Tramp, really like the dog world in this movie. What I mean by that is like the world building of the dogs. Like there is the Twilight Bark, which I think if dogs really did have like a communication thing in real life, like that's how they would do it, for sure. And yeah, the characters are really cool as well. Pongo's cool, Anita's cool, Roger's cool, everyone's cool. And yeah, there are a lot of great characters in these movies. I know it could get tiring hearing me say that, but yeah. So 101 Dalmatians. Oh wait. I've got to do a flaw. So the main flaw of this movie that puts it on number 4 on the list, away from my favorites, is the really sketchy animation design. So this was the first movie made by Disney that used this like pencil sketch like animation style. But there are some character designs in here that just look unfinished and doesn't look like they were finished for the movie yet. But that's part of the style, so I'm kind of mixed upon it, but yeah. So 101 Dalmatians. It's a fun movie. It's the first movie in here that I recommend, which, ooh, there are some great movies coming up. So yeah, 101 Dalmatians, it is a fun time. Number 3, Alice in Wonderland. Oh boy, I cannot wait to talk about this movie. This movie has always stood out to me in the giant list of Disney movies out there for its creative visuals and unique ideas. So first off, gotta go with the characters again. But the characters in this movie are really great. With, as you can see in the thumbnail, the Cheshire Cat being one of my favorite Disney characters. And also, the animation in here is just vibrant. It is beautiful, and I love things like the rabbit hole or like the overweight grass. Like, it is really, really cool. So yeah, Alice in Wonderland. I love this movie, guys. Like, I would really recommend it. If it were on like the wartime era or the golden era, I would put it at number 1. That shows the quality of this movie. So you may be thinking, why the heck is it number 3? Well, that really goes to show the quality of the next 2 movies coming up in this era. Number 2, Sleeping Beauty. So this movie has like a big cinematic presence that I just love about it. You may be saying, oh, a lot of Disney movies are cinematic, but this one especially. I mean, look, the animation in this movie, breathtaking. Like, it feels like medieval tapestry worth level of like art. Like, yeah, amazing. And also the villain in this movie, Maleficent. Like, she is great. Like, she is basically Disney's equivalent to Darth Vader. Like, she has amazing presence, amazing voice, amazing powers, amazing animation. Just everything is great about her. Like Cruella, but 10 times as good. But the main thing holding this movie back to me, though, is the 2 characters of the prince and Aurora. Like, there's nothing to their personalities. Like, they're just the princess and the prince. You know what? I would say it. Snow White's a better character than 2 of them, and I said my dues about Snow White. So, yeah. But I would rank this movie lower if I didn't hear this from someone. I heard someone tell me that, well, online, and not to me, but to viewers, but that doesn't matter. So I heard someone say that the 3 fairies are the main characters of this movie, and I didn't ever view it like that. And when I went to watch this movie again, I totally agreed with them, and I think say it made the movie better. So yeah, Sleeping Beauty is my number 2 because it has amazing cinematic feel to it and has an amazing villain that just an amazing animation that just make it over top good. So yeah, I would really recommend Sleeping Beauty. Number 1, Peter Pan. So before I begin on this movie, I should say that I may be a little biased, because I was in an elementary production, play of this movie when I was in elementary school, and I have a lot of fond memories of being in that, so I may be a little biased. But Peter Pan is such a great and fun movie. Like, and I think it has great characters again, a great setting, a great villain, it's everything I want in a Disney movie. Like, the characters are really great, with like Captain Hook being one of my favorite Disney villains, like bar none. I think Neverland is a pretty unique and cool location that I don't think is like replicated again in any Disney movie. I think the story is pretty cool and touching. It has a lot of adventure that I really like, and yeah, Peter Pan is just really good to me. Peter Pan is a movie that I really recommend. Oh, but there's one big flaw in here that, So, there are some Native American stereotypes in here. Look, it's a movie made in the 50s. What are you gonna do? But even then, like, the stereotypes are just very harmful and don't age well today at all. Just watch the scene and you'll get a perfect example of what I'm talking about. But still, Peter Pan is such a great time that I think Disney should be proud of themselves for making. And it's my favorite of the Silver Era. So that was my list for the Silver Era. This era was so much easier to get through than the wartime era because the movies in here are really good and it's perhaps one of Disney's best eras. But next time, I'll be talking about a very different era in Disney's animation history because Walt died and the company began to go in a completely different direction. But until then, I will see you next time.